Hi there everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm the GCSE science teacher. In today's video we're going to be talking about the eye for GCSE biology students. So if you do enjoy it, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, share this with someone else, and please do subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get started. So as a bit of a revision moment here, let's link this idea of the eye to other parts of the curriculum in physics. And you may have heard of the term refraction, especially if you've learned about waves recently. You may have heard about refraction, reflection, diffraction, all these different words that are all to do with light. And essentially, refraction is a key term we're going to use today. So what is refraction? In essence, it is the bending of light as it passes through a medium. It may be from air, it may be through water, it may be through glass. It causes the light itself to bend. And that idea is why we can see the way we do. And we're going to talk about the different parts of the eye that actually help with this refraction. If you were to observe refraction, you could see it in the case of rainbows. This is why we see the different colors that make up white light. We also can see it if we use lenses, and our eyes are obviously a great example. Another way we can see refraction as well is if you fill up a glass of water and place an object into it, say a straw or a pen or a fork, you'll actually see what you see on the screen right now, where the lines actually don't match up. It bends the object so that we actually see it in a slightly different way. And that is because the light is bending as it enters our eye, and we see that object as we do here. So let's have a bit of a recap. What is the function of the eye? And I'm sure everyone here can tell me that the eye helps us to see. However, as scientists, we need to add a bit more detail to kind of paint a better picture of what's going on. So remember, the eye is a sense organ. An organ is made up of tissues, which is made up of cells that all do a similar function. And essentially, what the eye is detecting is light. That's the stimulus. That's what's going on in the environment. And that's what's changing consistently over time. And our eyes essentially needed to respond to that. And it does that by receiving this information by using receptors. Those receptors are found at the back of our eye in a part called the retina. And we'll talk more about this in today's video. Remember, the eyes, you may have seen people's eyes or even your own eyes in the mirror. They actually change when the stimulus changes. So for example, if we have very, very bright light, I'm sat next to a window right now, and this will be happening if I look out, my pupils or your pupils will actually start to constrict to prevent too much light entering in very bright light. However, in very dark lighting, our pupils will actually dilate to increase the amount of light that can actually be received and to help us see better. We're going to talk about how this actually happens, because it is an involuntary response. I can't just decide that will happen. It just happens automatically. And that is something that we're going to explore today. Remember as well, though, that the eyes also help us with our defense mechanism against pathogens entering our body. So, for example, they will have enzymes that can actually prevent and break down those different pathogens if they do enter our eye. We also have the ability to involuntarily release tears to remove any unwanted foreign object from our eyes. That's why we've also adapted to have eyelashes and eyebrows to kind of help maintain the health of our eye as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the structure of the eye. And there's quite a few different points that you need to be aware of at GCSE. Specifically, you need to know where those different structures are and what their functions are. You could get asked about how they work together to help focus different items if something is closer or further away from the eye. We're going to talk more about accommodation later on in this video. But let's go through some of the key structures and their functions now. So the first one is the suspensory ligaments. And this is a part of the eye. It's made up of connective tissue, and its main job is to tighten and pull the lens thinner to help focus that light. We have the cornea, which is at the front of the eye, and this essentially helps to refract light at the back of the eye, which is called the retina. The iris is a circular structure which essentially controls how much light enters the pupil, and these irises can have different colors depending on the genome of that individual. Some eye colors are more dominant or more likely to be inherited than others, such as brown eyes. They are more common in the world. whereas blue eyes are less common. We also have other eye colours like green or red or even grey, and some people actually have more than one eye colour. We call this heterochromia, and if you would like to learn more about this, I'll leave some information in the description box below for you. In addition to these structures, we also have the pupil, which again is all to do with allowing amount of light into the eye to focus on the back of the eye at the retina. Depending on the intensity, the pupil, like I said, can dilate or constrict to actually prevent too much light entering or ensuring enough light can enter. We have the ciliary muscles as well. Remember, they're muscles, so they have the ability to contract, and this is all helping the eye kind of focus on objects that are either near or far. And we'll talk about this idea later on in the video as well. We have the lens itself, which is all to do with refracting light to focus it onto the back of the eye at the retina. And we have a very tough structure, which is kind of a white part of our eye, which is called the sclera. And this particular structure is really important in protecting the eye. It's a very tough white structure, and it helps maintain the health of the eye. And often when you go to get your eyes checked at the opticians, they will check the health of the sclera as well to see if there's any damage there, because obviously that could indicate an issue. And at the very back of the eye, you can see we've got three key structures that you need to be aware of. So the first one is the retina, which I've talked a lot about. When the light is essentially directed or focused at the back of the eye, it goes to this part, and the retina contains light receptors such as rods and cones, and these two photoreceptors, these light receptors, are responsible for detecting that light and detecting color as well. So cones specifically are used to detect color. Some animals like dogs and other mammals don't actually have this part of the eye, which is why they only perceive vision in black and white. Again, I'll leave some information in the description box for you if you are interested. And these receptors essentially work to connect this information to the optic nerve, which is attached to the brain, which carries those electrical impulses to the brain to help kind of decide what's going on, if there's a threat outside, if we need to respond, things like this. So it's kind of coordinating with the nervous system. And then lastly, we have a part of the eye called the fovea, and this is to help with high acuity vision. So some animals don't actually have this part of the eye also, and that's why we are able to focus on meticulous activities. We can actually focus on quite a range of activities, and that's why we're able to kind of construct the world in which we do. Again, I'll leave some information below. So, how does the eye actually work? We've already talked about the different structures in the eye and how they function, but we also need to know how they work together to help with this idea of accommodation. Now, accommodation is a key word that you need to know the definition of for your GCSEs. So, I highly recommend making a flashcard for it. Accommodation essentially is the process of changing the lens shape to focus on near or distant objects. So, let's have a look at what happens to the eye in both cases. In the first case, the object is really close to the eye. Let's see what happens. So the lens actually becomes much thicker, and this is to allow the light rays to refract much more strongly. Remember, refraction is just the bending of light. And what happens in the case of this situation, the ciliary muscles will actually contract and the suspensory ligaments will loosen. And this causes that thickening of the lens. In the second case, when the object is much further away, the lens is pulled much thinner, and this allows the light rays to slightly refract. And again, what happens to the ciliary muscles? Well, they start to relax and the suspensory ligaments will tighten. I highly recommend you make some flashcards on those 2 points as well, just so you know the differences in each case. If you actually look at it, you can see it's the opposite of each case, so it's not too difficult to kind of remember and keep those key ideas in your mind. So far in this video, we've talked about how the eyes function correctly and work the way they should. However, there are lots of cases where the eyes are not able to focus that light on the back of the retina, and this causes problems with sight and vision. So let's talk about some of those key ideas today. And these are the 2 conditions you need to know for your GCSE exam. So the first one is called myopia. That's a scientific word for short-sightedness. So someone who is short-sighted can see objects clearly close up. However, at a distance, they can't see those objects as easily as they should. And this is because the eye could be elongated, which causes the distance between the lens and the retina to be slightly increased. Also, it could be because the lens is actually curved or thickened. And again, this causes an increase in distance. Now, this means that when the light travels through to the back of the eye, it actually converges slightly before it reaches the retina. And that's a problem because it means that the light is not focused as it should. So what needs to happen is someone will need corrective lenses, either in the case of glasses or they'll need contact lenses. And these lenses need to be concave. And that way, when those concave lenses are used, the light will be refracted in a slightly different way so that when the light actually travels to the back of the retina, it can be received the way it should be. So the last type of condition you need to be aware of is hyperopia, and this is a condition where someone is long-sighted. They can see objects far away very easily. However, close up, they find it difficult to see them because it's very blurry. And this is because either the eyeball is shortened, and that means there's too short a distance between the lens and the retina, or it could be due to the age of the person as well. And again, this just means that the light is focused behind the retina. And what we do to help this person is we would give them a corrective lens, whether it's glasses or contact lenses, and the lens needs to be convex to help with that refraction of the light. Last but not least, as a bit of fun, I thought I'd share this with you. In the natural world, there are loads of different pupil shapes. We have kind of a round shape, lots of mammals do as well. However, these other animals actually have much different pupil shapes. So for example, a cat can actually have a diamond shaped eye. A shark can have much more of a spherical shape. A cuttlefish probably has one of the coolest one. It's like a W shape. And a goat has kind of like a long horizontal shape. And this is due to how much intensity of light there is in the environment. For example, a cuttlefish, the light is constantly changing due to it being underwater. The horizontal shape is to check the horizon for predators that could come and attack the goat. However, in the case of a cat or a shark, these are predators themselves, so they're actually looking for prey. Again, I'll link some information below because there are so much cool stuff about eyes that I thought you'd be interested in. So I'll leave some info in the description box. But yeah, I just thought I'd end it with that bit of information for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. Do share this with someone else, and please do subscribe if you haven't already. I've been the GCSE science teacher and you have been curious. If you want more GCSE content for biology, chemistry or physics, check out my channel here on YouTube. You can also find more of my content on Instagram and TikTok. Everything is always at the GCSE science teacher. So thank you so much for your support, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.